Welcome to another episode of the Creative Writing Lab. I'm Kartika Budhwar and I'm collaborating with the Iowa Lakeside Lab to bring you free videos, writing prompts, and tips so that you can tap into your creativity and write your own literary masterpieces. Writing about people, characters, making them full, nuanced, real, complex, and believable is a vital part of the writing process of honing your craft. Some of the most famous stories, poems, books, and essays are inseparable from the characters they feature. We can't separate Pride and Prejudice from Mr. Darcy, can we? Wordsworth's poems To Lucy, About Lucy, immortalize this character and infuse his writing with such life and beauty and tenderness. And memoir, of course, is undeniably and undoubtedly reliant on how well crafted, how compelling the characters in it are. There's a lot to say about this, about writing characters, and I want to make sure I'm not rushing through it. So we'll divide this chat, this talk on character development up into 3 sections, 3 different videos. Today I want to focus on poetry. Let's start by talking about a form of poetry called the persona poem. This is a poem when you write from the perspective of someone that is not you, somebody else, in some ways somebody who's alien to you. There's a long tradition of persona poems, from Eliot to Pound to Rita Dove. Rita Dove's work we will be looking at today. The greats, the giants of poetry have done this, have tried this. You wear the clothes, the lives, the experiences, the bodies of another person. Or it can be a thing, it can be an inanimate object, as long as it's someone or something that isn't you. We talk a lot about empathy in these videos and in the writing prompts that I put up. A persona poem really helps you do just this. Feel empathy and also help your reader feel empathy. It also can really free you to write in the voice and through the experiences of someone you are not. It can help you step outside of your own preoccupations, your concerns, your own trappings, and see the world through somebody else's eyes. Rebecca Hazelton says that the desire we all have, every single one of us, at some point of time in our lives to run away from ourselves, isn't one we can regularly indulge, at least not without serious repercussions. But she says through writing and through reading persona poetry, we can achieve this just for a brief period of time. We can wear these masks, or personae, in Latin, of other people and experience the world through their eyes. It can be a really intimate experience. It can be a really transformative experience. It can also shake you out of patterns of thought and writing that you've been stuck in. Here's an excerpt from a persona poem by Rita Dove that lets us imagine what it might be like to be Beethoven. Okay, here goes. From my window, I could see onto the courtyard, where a linden tree twined skyward. Leafy umbilicus canted towards light, warped in the very act of yearning. And I would feed on the sun as if that alone would dismantle the silence around me. At first I raged, then music raged in me, rising so swiftly I could not write quickly enough. To ease the roiling, I would stop to light a lamp, and whatever I'd missed, larks flying to nest, church bells, the shepherds, home towards evening song, rushed in, and I would rage again. That's just a short excerpt. We're experiencing his life devoid of external sound. The poem at the end is still a revelation, though. I smile and bow, and the world is loud. And though I dare not lean in to shout, "Can't you see I'm deaf?" I also can't stop listening. It's really powerful. He comes closer to us, crossing all those centuries. We feel how being deaf might be, how someone who cannot hear might still always be listening and experiencing the sounds of the world. How through Beethoven we see how the act of creativity is inherently, that act of creation is inherently difficult, challenging. The release is powerful, the achieving it is powerful. Dorianne Laux wrote a series of poems about her mother, and in an interview she said, I'm going to read this to you. She said, "I just wanted everybody who didn't know my mother to know her, to somehow preserve her unique personality. She had an extraordinary essence." So today I also want to explore, how do you do that? How do you capture the essence of a person? We can take a picture, we can describe them physically, and then still know nothing of their heart. In poetry, though, we can capture their music, their stories, their heart, their actions, those small details, their small nuanced flaws, complexities, and beauty. All right, this poem is called Ideas of Heaven. What I want to do is I want to look at sections of it, read them aloud to you, and then kind of take it apart, examine each section a little bit, and see how she does this, how she captures her mother's essence, immortalizing her. My mother's idea of heaven was a pulse, nurses, in white spilling light across fields with hurricane, lamps, bandage rolls, syringes, painkillers, stethoscopes, pressure cuffs, patella hammers. So, we know from this her mother was a nurse. Let's go on. My mother's idea of heaven was a jar of peanut butter and saltine, crackers, a patient's chart, a pot of tea, notes scribbled in her elegant hand, more morphine, cortisone, alprazolam. It was a quorum of doctors in an elevator going up, blood swabbed from the walls, the smell of bleach following her to the next bed. The next crisis, the next head she would cradle like a baby, rubbing gravel from a wound, with a green soap sponge, plastic gloves, IV stands, pocket light, iris scissors, forceps, thermometer, and her golden Caritas emblem pin, its coiled snakes and disembodied wings. Her shoes of breathable, white leather, stain-resistant, slip-resistant, padded collars, 4-ply pillow top insole, their signature blue hearts. We learn the dailiness of her mother's life, the details, the objects and tools, the instruments of her expertise, the instruments of her comfort, her stolidness, how she cradled heads like babies, how she knew what to do with a wound in gravel, how she enjoyed peanut butter. And we've talked about this, the beauty of the mundane, how real and vivid and tender it can be. She writes her mother as contradictions as well, as someone complex whose life has given her rough edges, whose life has given her a series of habits, good and bad, whose life has given her a body that suffered and weathered and continued. How does she do this? I'm just going to read it to you. Her heaven was smoking Kents while feeding crows in the parking lot, the god of sleep, 20 minutes of uninterrupted consciousness, an abyssal cot in the break room next to a broken ventilator, flat on her back, her split shift, night shift back, her spine with its bolts and bent crossbars, its stripped screws and bony overgrowths, fusions and cages and allografts. Beautiful. What does she do next after she shows us her mother's struggles, contradictions, habits, bad and good? What was her spirit like? That's the next thing she asks about. What was her heart like? How do you describe how she made the people around her feel? So, She was a shaft of light in the inner workings, her touch a tincture, a gauze dressing, a salve, a room temperature saline bath. Finally, she writes an action to bring it all together. She microwaved blankets to slide over the dead, so when the ones who loved them filed in to say goodbye, the body felt warm under their hands. Beautiful. What a beautiful way to end a poem. What a beautiful way to wrap up a character description to show us the essence of this woman's life, this mother, this nurse's life. A gesture of such quiet grace and love, of service and almost holiness. I really feel when I read this poem like I knew her mother. What all these poems did was go past the surface of a person. They went past the biodata. Instead, they captured the unique themness of each of these characters. All right, let's do a prompt about a character. So pick a person. This can be you. This can be somebody you love. This can be an inanimate object or entity that you're going to personify, whatever you want. We're going to do generative prompts on character in the next 2 videos as well, so keep this safe. Maybe you can use the same character for all 3 videos, today's, next Monday's, and the Monday after. And by the end of it, you'll have a brief character sketch that'll be really unique and really specific and fun. So today's prompt is that. Again, keep a person in mind. What are some things that this person you're writing about associates with comfort, with solace? I'm going to repeat this. What are some things that this person associates with comfort, with solace? Set a 7-minute timer. I'm doing that right now. And begin. All right, that's our timer. Thank you so much for writing with me, for spending this time with me, for listening. I gained so much from this and I love hearing from you. Thank you for your wonderful feedback. I'm so glad that so many of you are engaging with these, are finding them useful, are finding them nourishing, that they're helping you express yourself and discover parts of yourself. Have a wonderful week. Happy Monday, and until next time.